Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining New Jersey Wedding Podcast. This is your podcast to plan your wedding in New Jersey. We are your hosts, Andrea Pertel and Celia Milton, and we are both full-time professional wedding officiants here in the state of New Jersey. And we thank you so much for joining us today. So, Celia, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little hot and like icky like everybody else is, but besides that, I'm
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
It's
the
the summer.
humidity is
Yeah,
really
it's the
set
summer.
in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I know. We'd like to like it would be nice if it was like that sauna suit thing from like the 70s where like you just, you get up tomorrow and we're 10 pounds lighter. Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, really, that's not gonna happen. I'm not like looking for that. So no, we're,
No.
we're good. We're good. We're gonna talk about what are we talking about? We're gonna talk about we know that you love your vendors and you want to write a fabulous review about them, right? Of course.
Right.
It's like, when I find something great that I love, it's like whether it's an olive or like a pair of shoes, it's like I want everybody to know about it. And,
Right.
you do too, right?
And I personally rely on reviews,
We
whether
all the
I'm
time.
buying some another dumb piece of
Yeah.
something from Amazon that I thought looked cool in the middle of the night. Um, I'm going to read those reviews.
Absolutely.
I just had somebody come a couple of weeks ago to repair my washing machine. I read reviews, and
Yeah.
I think we all do. I think that has become
Yeah.
the way of the world. I mean,
Yeah.
is that's kind of the word of mouth. And I mean, we talk sometimes about tips, and I love a tip. I love a good tip. Of course, I appreciate any tip, but um I'll take a 5-star review
Yeah.
as my
No,
tip.
absolutely. And it's kind of like strange. I think that, people are like kind of tip fatigued,
I
and
think so.
like everything requires a tip. And, there's some logical situations like restaurants where the minimum restaurant hospitality wage is a lot less. And that's, kind of a system that is never going to change no matter, whatever people do about it. But,
Right.
I feel like kind of sometimes like tipping your wedding professionals is like tipping your dentist. It's like kind of strange,
Right. And you could tip them with a positive review. If you were happy
Great
with their
review.
services, then take a moment and leave a Google review.
Great review.
Google provides a great review for them.
Yeah.
I really I appreciate it so much, because as we said, in today's world, customers' reviews have become so important, and especially for small businesses. And
Yes,
most of your wedding vendors are small
we are.
businesses.
Yeah.
Myself and Celia, um, we're small businesses, but I think most of your photographers,
Hmm.
videographers, they've opened up their own business. They've taken a
Yeah.
chance on following their passion. Florists, there are some big box companies out there that, in the wedding industry, but I'm sure that they enjoy a good review as well. But I think especially for small businesses, the impact is more significant because
Yeah.
unlike the big box companies, we rely heavily on word of mouth and local reputation. It can boost our small business, our credibility, and draw in more customers. It gives us trust,
Yeah.
credibility, and yeah, it's very important. It's the best tip you can give them.
It is. Well, and I think, when you're like looking, you're looking for other vendors, when you ask, it's not exactly a review, but when you ask your other vendors, who do they like to work with? They're basically going to give you a review on the people that they like to work with. And that's like, it's so valuable because, those reviews come for people, of course, online, we're all going to put our best foot forward and,
Yeah.
the most beautiful pictures and,
Right,
everything's going to be polished and gorgeous. But
right.
really hearing from people who have actually been to a venue and or used an officiant or a photographer, and there's because there's so many different parts to an experience with a vendor. Do they answer? I just spoke to somebody before we got on this call. It's like, well, I've been calling my DJ and my DJ won't call me back, and I've been like trying to get into. It's like, that's part of the experience too. On the
Right.
day, they may be absolutely fantastic, but if you've had like all kinds of like aggravation just trying to get them to answer your call, then that experience is going to be, it's going to present you with friction that you really just don't need.
Right. Right. I want to say also, it's important for reviews to have recent reviews. So if
It is.
somebody like myself, I've been in business just about 14 years now, and
Mhm.
Celia
Yeah.
longer. We
Yeah.
have a lot of reviews. So, but don't shy away from leaving a fabulous review for a vendor that you really liked and you feel they did their best for you, because they already have so many. It's important to have recent
Yeah.
reviews.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not something from 3 years ago, because I think sometimes people might shy away if you already have 400 reviews.
Right.
Oh, you need to keep them recent, keep them
Yeah.
current. So it's still important to take the time and give that review tip.
And and be very specific about it. Did your
Right, how to write a good review.
yeah,
So you're right.
did your DJ find that weird version of that obscure song that you wanted? I think I can't remember who we were talking to. I think it might have been Chuck Russo. It was like, he knew that this couple wanted this song, and all of a sudden somebody requested it and they played it and everybody was on the dance floor and it was crazy and happy, and like he of course
Yeah.
texted the photographer, and it's like, that like what did these people do that made their service to you beyond what you expected?
Right,
Did they,
specific details really
exactly.
help the review, absolutely.
Exactly. Because,
Why?
yeah, why were these people great? And the same thing that makes a vendor great for one person is going to be like, well, I don't really care about that for another client, but I think it's really important to be like micro specific about it. And how did they take care of you? What
Right.
was their process like? Were they responsive the whole time? Were they
Prompt,
great on the day? Were they prompt? Did they,
easygoing,
yeah.
prompt, made us feel at ease,
Mhm. Yeah.
professional,
Yeah.
got us through the bumps, whatever it was. If you could just add a few specifics like that, even when such and such happened, she kept her
Yeah.
cool and knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Those are the things.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's good. I think it's,
Important.
it's fun actually when you read reviews and there's something kind of like a little off the beaten trail in there. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I like to read that. Yeah.
I have a floor. I'm remembering a planner that I worked with, and like we were on the Hudson River. We were at a venue in the Hudson River, and like literally we were just, everything was done. We were all ready to go. And all of a sudden we looked at the archway, and the archway airlifted and started flying down the Hudson River. And she just looked at me, she's like, don't worry about it. We're gonna just call the florist. They'll go find it. It's like, okay. And he's like, the perfect review would be, when our archway was flying down the Hudson River, ABC florist went and got it and brought it back, and nobody knew the difference. It's like,
Right.
because I think in like almost every wedding, there's something that happens that's unexpected. And, it's unexpected because we can't plan for it. But like, then what happened? It's like, what did your professional do to make that maybe even seem like you meant it that way?
Right, right. And that just reminded me that there's a couple of vendors that I work with that I love working with, and I need
Mm,
to go in and write a review for them.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
true.
I gotta step up to the plate too. I guess I'm just looking for the couples to do it, but I think I need to, because I'd like couples to hear what I think about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, uh,
It's a good way to judge, how your people are actually going to behave. And that being said, one review that's not actually perfect, you take it with a grain of salt, because
right,
it's a it's a charged situation for everybody. It's emotionally charged for the couples and the venue and all the vendors. And, hopefully we all try to do the best that we can. But I would say if somebody has Well, I have a review from a dog actually on Google, and it was actually, I mean, yeah, it's a good review from the dog. It was like a 5-star review, but you take everything with kind of a grain of salt. You got like 500 great reviews and one is like terrible. Well, maybe you have to like, kind
Take
of
it with a
mitigate
grain
that
of
a little.
salt.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes it
really.
might be how you respond to the review and
Right,
you
that's
go,
true.
okay, that response was fine. And, we're all human and
Yeah,
maybe something didn't match up there. It doesn't matter. These other ones
yeah.
outweigh that and they responded and learned from it. And
But
because
you know what?
everything's a learning,
Yeah.
everything, even if you make a mistake and they don't mention it in the review, we've learned from it,
Oh,
experience. That's experience.
well, you bring up a really good point because I think for the way that people respond to their reviews, whether, it's easy to respond to a positive review. It's like, thank you so much. Yay. But, if something was miscommunicated or something went wrong or, was unexpected, it's like, how did that vendor deal with it? Were they professional about it? Did they own up to it? Did they, how did they handle it? You know,
Constructive feedback. Yeah.
like, you know, and when I was still catering, fortunately we didn't have, a whole lot of complaints, but, every once in a while something is going to happen that's, I don't know, it's a result of miscommunication or something along the way doesn't go well. And, I feel like there's always there's the party that your guests have and the party that you envisioned. And, if you ordered, I don't know, cerulean blue place cards and they were just a different color of blue, well, you're probably freaked out about it, but the odds of your guest noticing that, I mean, yeah, if there wasn't any entree, probably somebody's going to notice that. But, I think there's a point that you just have to like look at, like, did this affect the party that my guests had, you
Yeah.
know? And like, was it fine for them? And which doesn't make it okay that it wasn't fine for you, but you don't have the embarrassment of like, well, nobody brought any entrees. That would be very bad. But
So, well, on that note, who gets good reviews?
oh, that was smooth. I saw what you did there. I like it. I like it.
Transitioning into, we
Oh
just
yeah.
had the
Oh, we're so
um
excited.
yeah, we just had a great interview with Jonathan Russo. He's a guitarist, actually just a fabulous
Wonderful.
musician.
Yes.
Um, he provides our intro music and
Mhm.
our, is it outro music? The
I
beginning
don't
and
know what
end
it calls.
music
Yeah.
on this podcast. And of course, we know him from weddings. I personally love a classical guitar.
Yeah.
And he also plays jazz. He plays all kinds of music, and he has been doing this for many, many years. He's plays for the ceremony as well as the cocktail hour, and he's just so talented. And you and I, we were talking about how live music, it just kind of moves your soul. There's
Yeah.
something about it
Yeah.
for a ceremony, for the cocktail hour, that's so different than a DJ. That's the reception music.
Yeah, it really provides a different mood. And I love how I've worked with him a number of times. And
What a
it's
great
just,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, great guy, great music, easy to work with, and it just seems like so organic. It's like you go into the cocktail hour, the ceremony, and it seems like it really belongs there, which I really kind of love.
I pause on his Instagram, and because he posts a lot of himself on Instagram as well as TikTok of him playing. So you could go to his Instagram or TikTok, and we will of course have the links for them are in our social media, which is
Mhm.
New Jersey Wedding Podcast. So you can just click on those and spend some time listening to him. Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful music. And then you can just email him from his Instagram. His
yeah,
email's right there. But I pause and listen, and just such a nice guy to
yeah.
work with, great personality. I could write a review for him.
Yes, you should. We should both write a review for him.
So, so stay tuned, guys, and enjoy this interview with Jonathan Russo of
Um,
Jonathan Russo Guitarist.
Coming right up. You're engaged. That is just great. But right after that excitement, stress can sneak in like a surprise RSVP. Traditional weddings are beautiful, but they can also be expensive and complicated and, frankly, a little overwhelming. What if your wedding could be everything you dream of, minus the drama? At NJ Vows Now, we believe your special day should reflect your unique love story, not some outdated list of rules. You can have all the wedding and none of the stress. We have sweet little parks and pretty gardens from the Hudson River to the Jersey Shore to the lush forests of the North and the West. We'll connect you with a curated network of amazing vendors who will understand your vision and respect your budget. We're all passionate, professional, dedicated to making your wedding a relaxed, unforgettable experience. Yes, you still need a license, but we can help you with that too. It's fast, it's easy, and you can still throw a big party later if you want. Doesn't that sound great? Of course it does. So just ditch the drama, vow to be different, and reach out to us at njvowsnow.com. We will have the confetti cannons ready. Hello, everyone. We're very happy to welcome Jonathan Russo, who is a fingerstyle guitarist and composer based out of Mount Tabor, New Jersey. You may recognize that last name because one of our favorite DJs is his dad, Chuck. He helps his couples bring their ceremony music choices to life with custom instrumental arrangements. We actually have one as our signature music here, which we're very happy to have. He plays beautiful guitar. It will add that special live music touch without having multiple musicians. He's most of the time when I see John, I've had the pleasure of working with Jonathan a number of times. He's doing the cocktail hour and the ceremony, and it's a lovely way to ease into that party. But Jonathan, tell us all about you.
How's it going, guys? Thank you for having me. I really,
Oh,
really glad to be here
Thank
with you.
you.
thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for the beautiful intro music.
Oh,
As Celia
Oh,
said, that is Jonathan Russo playing the intro music to all of our episodes.
Mhm.
well, it's my pleasure. It was my pleasure to do that. All right. So a little about me. I've been playing weddings since I was 18. So I'm not going to say how many years that is, but that's definitely over a decade at this point, pushing two.
You could tell you have
Uh,
a parent in the industry to be able to
Yes.
say
yeah,
that.
that's exactly, it was born out of convenience. It's like, hey, I kind of need a guitar player for this. I'm like, all right. So,
Okay.
yeah, but it's funny. The first few I did, I sort of I picked up on this sense that a lot of my couples wanted, custom music. So early on, once again, it was sort of happened by accident. People say, "Hey, can you play this song?" And I listened to it, and it's like some, crazy rock song from the '90s. I'm like, "Oh, I can try." And it became sort of a challenge musically for me, and then that sort of became my thing and something I brought different for my couples. And over the years, it's been fun to take these songs that my couples really want to hear in their ceremonies, and instead of having the DJ play it, CD wise, you get, or I say CD. Oh my gosh! Instead of having the DJ playing it out of his system, having that live music touch, especially if you're on a budget and you can't really afford the string trio or the string quartet. It's a nice touch if you have the guitar. A lot of people don't realize what the guitar can do
Yeah.
in that sense. So it's been a lot of fun over the years. I've had some really great moments. Some with you, Celia.
Yeah, it's
We've
been
had
fun.
some of my favorite ceremonies, and
Thank
it
you.
really is. It's one of my favorite things musically as an artist. I can say is being a part of that special moment in people's lives. It's a very meaningful thing for me as a musician to be involved in that. So, but yeah, that's condensed down, but there you go.
I love having a live musician for the ceremony music. I think it really sets the tone. I'm located right by the shore, and I do a lot of beach weddings as well as some beautiful park weddings. We have a couple of gazebos on the bay, like the Lavalette gazebo. People will rent that out, or they'll have a beachfront ceremony, and then they'll go to the reception at a different location, and they will have like to have a musician on the beach or at the gazebo. Are you able to provide that? Do you have an amp? Do you need to plug in or?
Yeah, no, so it's great you asked that because I do get a lot of calls for that and people aren't sure. And instead of hiring, so a lot of times other instruments can't really be outside with the
Right.
guitar, depending on the weather. Usually, it's my cutoff point is sometime in November. That's where I kind
Mhm.
of sense the limit. But yeah, I love outdoor venues. I love those locations. And I do have a full system for any situation outside that would come up. So yeah, we're all good to go there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right. I think it's just like, so there's something really special about having live music. And, even if people aren't ready to commit to like a band for their entire thing, I think, even I did a wedding on Saturday night, and the bride's dad was a musician, and they wanted to have live music for the cocktail hour, because it's more like, they were more like a beach, like a Jersey Shore band, for lack of a better thing to call them.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a nice, like, little segue from the ceremony, which was pretty formal music, to that, which is like, okay, it's like summer party music, back to,
Yeah.
back to the reception, which was like bigger, louder music. I think there's, I don't know that people, like, they don't, I think people underestimate the ability of live music to completely change your mood. And,
Oh,
yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I have to say, a lot of times, I bust my dad's chops. He's a DJ, and I'm always like, I'm like, hey man, you're the reason why the wedding bands are out of business. You started this back in the day, and and it's. I think people forget that part of the wedding. It's such a special moment in people's
Yeah.
lives. I think we forget how fast everything is, especially in New Jersey. It's like people don't slow down for a second, right? And we want that immediate gratification all the time. And then when we get to this, our wedding, when you try to get a wedding band, sometimes it's out of people's price range.
Mhm.
So I always try to explain to my couples, the really great spot is especially your ceremony. That's such a special moment. Let's make it as real as we can, right? So let's, skip having the DJ there, right? Give him one less thing to set up. Right. And then in the cocktail hour, what sometimes I'll do, depending on the venue, is I'll finish up the ceremony, play the couple and the bridal party out, and then I'll real quick go to my other setup in the cocktail hour and I'll start playing in there. And even in cocktails, I think just having that background of live music, there's something about it, and it's about having a live musician in the room playing off the people in the room.
Yeah.
That's important. And I think getting a good musician that can do that, that has the experience, or getting a good group, which I have sometimes people that say, I don't want just guitar, I want, guitar plus something else. And
Mhm.
I have, been doing it for so long. I have so many connections where I can accommodate any request at this point. But I just can't express enough, especially being an artist, how special that moment is. Having that in your ceremony or cocktail, especially if you can't afford the wedding band,
Yeah.
that's a one great, really great spot. You can make your day that much more special. And I think people forget about that sometimes, but that's one extra touch that you shouldn't forget.
Right.
Well,
It really elevates it. Yeah.
I think it's like so nice too that, it's when you go to, I did a wedding a few weeks ago, and I had a trio. I had a sax and keyboards and a bass, all acoustic. And
Mm,
what? People could actually talk to each other during cocktail hour. Cause I feel like sometimes when you have like DJs, and they're not really accustomed to the acoustics of a
mm,
cocktail hour, it's not bad, it's just real loud. And we hear
yes.
that comment all the time. It's like, you want to have that ambiance that can be created with live music, but you don't necessarily want to be like screaming over it. And
Mm.
there's a nuance there that I think is really beautiful with having,
Mhm.
having live music.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because with live people, especially a good musician is always using the room they're in. I know one of my biggest things is I have to get there and I have to test the room out
Mhm.
and see how it is, and then think about, all right, what happens when this room is filled with bodies? What is
Right.
that going to do? Because people forget a lot of the time, where the voices are, that takes a certain range. So you do want to have someone there playing so they can kind of play off the room, know exactly where they can, especially with guitar. I'm being biased here. The guitar is such a
You're
wide
allowed.
range. Yeah, I'm allowed to, right? It's got such a wide range, and I can play off the room and go, that's not really sounding great there. Let me not hold that note as long, right? So it sounds nerdy, but that's
Interesting.
really, you want that element, and a DJ is going to set it, test it out, and probably go set up for the ceremony or the reception afterwards, right? It's
Yeah.
and like I said, I am biased, but it does add that little extra touch, especially at like the jazz trio. My goodness, in a cocktail hour, it's one of my favorite
I
sounds.
love it.
It's the
I
best.
love it. I actually ended up staying at that wedding far longer than I stay, because it was just like, it was so, when one of the people that was getting married happened to be Brazilian, so they were doing some like Jobim, and I mean,
Oh
it was so
my God,
great. It was so fun. And
my
I think
goodness.
people, even if they're not really, if they don't consider themselves really sophisticated consumers of live music, it's like you can't not love that, right?
No, yeah,
It's like
it's it.
summer, you know, it's great. It's like the best. I love it. I love it. What?
The other thing that I've noticed during cocktails too is when I'll play a tune, I'm not singing. I do sing occasionally, but most of the time I'm not. But when I do play certain tunes, it's always fun to see like the light kind of go off in people's faces, like, oh my God, I recognize this song,
I
right?
remember that
That
song.
yeah, exactly. And I that part is like such a special moment for me. Sorry, I cut you off there. I wanted to add
No,
that on
no,
there.
it's no, I think what is another thing I find when we have like live music as opposed to dead musicians, right? Which is not as much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have live music. If they have little kids at the wedding, little kids are fascinated by people playing actual instruments.
Without fail, every time.
It's
Yeah.
so fun. And I just think that there's like kind of like a bonus. It's like, yes, it's like a musician, but it's also entertainment for your small
Yeah.
children.
I know, I know. I have 3 kids, and so, like, I'll go to weddings and I'll play for these kids that are my kids' age, and they stand in front of me for minutes at a time just staring at me,
They're
and I'll
like
go home like,
fascinated.
I'm like, "These kids, they appreciate me, and you guys don't even care."
It's
That's
like they,
funny.
yeah, I'm like, how did you decide you wanted to be a drummer? Well, I went to this wedding and there was
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
oh, it's great. I think it's just like such a it's such a great atmospheric thing. And oh man, I just love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's very moving,
Eh,
very moving.
yeah,
I
people aren't
love the
exposed to it anymore, right? They don't
right.
have it.
True.
Yeah,
It's
so
true.
And like you said, you learn the songs for people. I'm sure you have your songs that you offer them, right? Your
yes.
what you can play, but then if they come back and even if it's like a rock song, you can put it into a guitar. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
I've had
that.
some
Yeah.
interesting requests over the years.
I
And
bet.
and there's been a very few occasions where
Great.
I've had to be like, you know what, I tried, but I can't make Slipknot work for a ceremony. I just can't
Yes,
do it.
Slipknot.
You know, you do have to draw the line somewhere, but I've had some really silly ones over the years and some fun ones too.
Right,
So yeah.
every once in a while, we get something where it's, like, maybe a Disney themed ceremony
Hmm.
where and they
Yes.
might ask you to play the Disney songs or,
Yes.
a Star Wars or something like that or, yeah,
So,
it's
well,
fun.
I think people are kind of used to just getting anything they want, whether it's possible or not, you know?
Yes, I did have to learn that lesson the hard way though, to really like listen to the songs before I say yes to somebody. And it was such a last minute request in this and this where I was like, I want Beach Boys, and I forget it's one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. I can't remember the name of it. I said yes. I was like, I know the song absolutely. I never had actually tried to like work it out on the guitar before, and I was like, oh my God, this is so hard.
Yeah.
And because he's such a such a brilliant writer, and I had like a week, and I'm like, I should have said absolutely not, and but I got it done, and I never practiced more in my life
Yeah.
because it was, but got it done. Most aren't like that though. Most it's the guitar is super versatile and it can cover a lot of range. So yeah, it's I've had some weird ones, but some fun ones too.
Yeah, I always like it. I had not too long ago someone whose their ceremony music was all, the Beatles, Beatles
Yes.
music,
Mm,
and that's always beautiful.
Oh, love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I think, I think it's fun when people realize that they can really actually have something that they like instead of
Yes.
something, especially, of course, we tend to think a lot about the ceremony, but, you actually can have something you like. You don't have to have Pachelbel's Canon, you don't,
No.
you can come up to all kinds of great, cool, what are your favorite like ceremony songs?
Oh, I mean, over the years, ones that have really come out to me and that I still really enjoy playing are the classics. And this one has come back around is Elvis Presley, "Can't Help Falling in Love."
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorites. It's such an expressive melody. It falls perfectly on the guitar, and it's
Right.
got a beautiful pace for walking. So a lot of my brides are picking that for their bridal party. One of the ones that's still my favorite, and I personally, once again, I'm biased. I enjoy my arrangement of this is "A Thousand Years" by
Mm,
Christina
Yes.
Perry.
Mhm.
Once again, one of those songs that just has a really great walk to it. I mean, if
Right.
you just put it on and just pretend it's a perfect walk down the aisle. Still to this day, I gotta admit, I get I get some joy pulling out the oldies, like things like, you know, Pocket Bells Canon. As a musician saying like, what can I do with this to make it a little bit more updated and sound a little bit more what the guitar should sound like, and I always like enjoy doing that. Um, but there's just been so many over the years, so many of them. So it's at this point, nothing surprises me, but I'm always looking forward to the next one that I really, really enjoy arranging.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you booked up for this season? How's it going? Do you still have openings for weddings?
I
You
do
book
still have openings for ceremonies, especially ceremonies, because you know it's not the full night. But
right.
still some openings currently. But the summer is pretty booked, but still some,
Okay.
especially in later on in August. So
Okay.
people can absolutely still get some time. So
Okay. Yeah, that's
Oh,
good to know. You know,
as we were talking about, like we have people who are looking at working for 2026, and we have people who are looking for like, August. And
oh yeah,
right
I had
away.
one in May where they were like, I want you for May 25th. I'm like, okay, so 2025. And they're like, no, like now. I'm like,
like
that's
next
next
week,
week. That's
I know,
okay. Let's do it.
it's crazy.
So
It's
yeah. That was no AC inside of this big cathedral. And I was like, oh, it was
uh
brutal. It was that really hot time in May. I was like, oh man. But yeah, no, we got it done though. We get it done.
you do, you just kind of you get there and do it. Do you
Yep.
do you have the capability of like working with other musicians? Like, do you put like trios and quartets or duos together? Is that something you do?
Absolutely, absolutely. And my background is classical and jazz. So
Mm.
as far as if you want guitar, but you want more of the classical and you want a more traditional sound, I have at availability for violin, viola. We can add anything in. If you want more of the jazz side of things, we can bring in a trio. Myself, saxophone, drums. So we
Oh,
have a lot of versatility.
oh, that sounds great. That sounds
So
good. I like it.
can our listeners get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of you? I know that I will be sharing, or we will be sharing your Instagram and your TikTok. Do they get a hold of you through Instagram?
Yeah, that's the best way at this point to get a hold of me, and my
Okay.
email's on there as well. Those I
Oh,
check
okay.
frequently. Yeah, so that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I frequently check my messages on there, so you can absolutely reach me. And if you head over to my Instagram or TikTok, it's Jonathan Russo underscore guitarist. And you can I post my some of my arrangements on there, and some of my just my own different musical musings.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
can
there's a lot of
check me
great
out there.
music on there. It's a great showcase for what you do.
Uh,
It's
Now,
I
really,
appreciate it. Thank you.
really
if a
effective.
couple wanted to hear you play, do you also just play at places, bars, coffee
Uh,
shops, or anything, and they can drop in
mm,
and see you?
these days, not so much anymore with the kids with the kids at home.
Oh,
So
that's right.
it's usually at this point the only time I'm playing out is at weddings or at parties and things like that.
Well, you have a lot on your TikTok and your Instagram, and
Yeah.
we will put a
Yes,
link directly on there, you so that our listeners can just click on it and go and listen to you. That's the best thing about this. They can listen to you on
yep,
Instagram and TikTok and hear you, and then just your email is on there. They can just click on
yes,
that and contact you for an appointment to speak with you.
absolutely.
Talk all about that wedding. Well, fantastic. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. It was fun to talk to you. And again, thank you for your wonderful intro and is it called outgrow? I don't know what that's
Outro.
called, but anyway,
Yeah, outro. Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me. And like I said, when you guys get tired of that one, let me know, and I'll send you over another one, and keep you guys with fresh intro music.
sounds
Okay.
great. Sounds
All
great.
right.
Listen, thank you so much. Stay cool and thanks for talking to us.
All right, you guys too. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jonathan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by New Jersey wedding officiant Andrea Pertel, owner of For This Joyous Occasion Officiating Services.
And Celia Milton, owner of NJ Vows Now, also New Jersey wedding officiating services. We're up in North Jersey and Andrea is down in Central and South Jersey. So together we cover the whole state, don't we?
Yes, yes.